If you really want to understand a book and what's really going on in the subtext of a book, you have to study the author, and you need to look at their background, their experiences, their beliefs, the time period, and the cultural context. All of this can influence their writing. It's no secret that most authors draw inspiration from their lives and their lived experiences, and thus studying the author can really help you interpret their work more deeply, accurately, and properly, and identify how their personal perspectives might have just shaped some of the characters, the themes, and the ideas in the book. So that being said, we're taking a look at one of the most nuanced books ever to be released. And if you really want to understand Fight Club, you have to study Chuck Palahniuk. We're going to study Chuck Palahniuk and some of the more minute details in Fight Club. And after we do this, I think two things are going to be very evident. One is that the narrator is a man struggling with gayness, and two is that Marla Singer is not real, and rather is the side of the narrator that embodies and represents his gayness, the side which he ultimately accepts by the film's end. We got a lot to unpack here, so let's explore. As I mentioned, virtually all authors draw inspiration from their life for their work, and Chuck Palahniuk is no different. Palahniuk once worked at a hospice as an escort, providing transportation for terminally ill people, taking them to support group meetings. Of course, he implemented this life experience into the book because we see our narrator attending these same groups. Now, in regards to Palahniuk's life, what life experience would he draw from that might just make our narrator gay? Well, newsflash for you. Chuck Palahniuk, the author of Fight Club and the creator of one of the most masculine characters, Tyler Durden, is a gay man. I think the narrator was really a mouthpiece for Palahniuk, who at the time of writing this was grappling with his own sexual proclivities at a time when gayness was still shunned. Palahniuk grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, again a time when gayness was still frowned upon, not widely accepted, and gay marriage was still illegal. Accordingly, many gays like Palahniuk, I imagine, were deeply confused and closeted. Now, I'm speculating here, but because of the societal shaming at this time, Chuck Palahniuk maybe didn't really feel like a man, maybe even had a crisis of masculinity. Like, guess who? Our narrator. Now, to make this theory even more crazy, I'm going to suggest that just as Tyler was an alternate personality that depicted the epitome of masculine straightness, Marla is nothing more than the side of his personality that embodies his more feminine and gay side. Marla Singer is not real, and there's plenty of evidence to support this theory. Consider the fact that Tyler and Marla are never in the same room together.
Except for their humping, Tyler and Marla were never in the same room.
Tyler leaves, Marla enters. Like Tyler, sometimes the narrator imagines himself as Marla, and other times he is still himself. Check out this scene where Marla, or the narrator, walks out of the support group. What does she or he have in his hand? If we pause the photo and enhance the brightness, we see Marla, aka the narrator, holding a dildo, a big rubbery one to be exact. The narrator referenced this exact same dildo at the support group meetings.
Strangers with this kind of honesty make me go a big rubbery one.
The narrator's nothing more than a young gay man experimenting with his sexuality, and that big rubbery one, it's his all along. Think about it. It keeps popping up throughout the movie. It was in his suitcase.
My suitcase was vibrating.
It's a dildo.
It was with him at the support groups, as I just showed. And it's with him at his, not Marla's, yes, his apartment, or possibly hotel room. The hotel room he really went to after his condo blew up. Because guess what? The Paper Street Mansion is not real either. I told you in a previous video already that if you look up what a paper street is, it's a house that appears on a map but does not actually exist in real life. Now for some more evidence. What about this scene when Marla's in the fake Paper Street Mansion, talking with our narrator about a dress that she bought? With the dress on, Marla says this to our narrator.
You can borrow it sometime.
Why the heck would she say this? I've told you a million times that every line in Fight Club, no matter how small and insignificant it may seem, has some meaning to it. The only possible reason that she's saying this is because it's the narrator's feminine and gay alternate personality. Now, while we're on the subject of clothing, there's more proof that Marla could be fake. Look at how Marla and Tyler dress alike. Look at how the narrator and Marla dress alike. These are three personalities intermingling and at odds with each other. I think the end of the movie could signify the narrator finally coming to terms with his gayness and accepting that side of him, while simultaneously eliminating the straight side embodied by Tyler. I know this is not your typical interpretation of Fight Club, but guys, the narrator is as unreliable and deranged as they come. We can't take anything he says at face value. And if you look at the life of Chuck Palahniuk, I think it makes sense. Let me know what you think about this theory down in the comments below. If you're enjoying my content, help me make this a full-time job by supporting me on Patreon. If you haven't already, like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.